Hi, I'm Scott Flowers with Cloud Ninjas. Today we're here to talk about Dell PowerEdge T620 Workstation server memory upgrade kits and how to properly load and configure the system. Let's get started. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by to learn a little bit more about the Dell PowerEdge T620. Do us a favor, if you find anything in this video useful, click that like and smash that subscribe. All right, well, let's get rolling. There's a couple different types of chassis as far as the storage options are concerned. You can get what this is right here, which is an 8-bay large form factor. There's a 12-bay large form factor, or there's actually a 32-bay small form factor, which is a pretty sweet system if you want to load a bunch of 2.5-inch drives into it, especially SSDs or something to that effect. You can do quite a lot with it. As far as the CPUs are concerned, there's two CPU sockets. It's an LGA2011 socket, which means it uses Intel Xeon E5 2600 V1 or V2 series processors. People ask us, hey, what processors do you recommend? It really depends on what you're doing. If you're looking for something more on a low end, just trying to get something that's a decent bang for the buck but still really cheap, I recommend going with something like E5 2620 V2, E5 2660, E5 2670, something like that. Honestly, you can get really cheap these days and put two of them in there and have 12 to 16 cores in there running for relatively cheap. And you can go on the high end side and get some pretty awesome stuff like E5 2690, E5 2695 V2, something like that. You can really do a lot with it at a decent price point because it is an older generation system that's still running on DDR3 memory. Which brings us to what type of memory does it use? DDR3 memory, there are 24 DIMM slots inside. If you're familiar with the R620 from a CPU and RAM standpoint, it's actually the exact same. This is just the tower version of it, or the workstation version of it, I should say. So on that note, what kind of speeds can you use? You can use anything from 1066 to 1333, 1600, or even 1866. I will note though that 1866 is just going to clock down to 1600, which is the actual true fastest speed. So if you're looking to buy RAM now, I would recommend just buying 1600 because there's no point in spending extra money on the 1866. But if you have RAM laying around and you don't want to go buy new RAM, yes, you can throw in your 1866 RAM. It'll just clock back down. Okay. As far as the different sizes, you can use some low-end stuff, 2 gig, 4 gig, 8 gig, 16 gig, 32 gig, or all the way up to 64 gig. But you can only use 64 gigs with one type of RAM, which brings us to what type of RAM can you use? There's two types. You can use ECC registered, which is also known as an RDIMM, or you can use load reduce, which is known as an LRDIMM. There's some distinct advantages with the load reduce modules, which really is the overall capacity. So with the ECC Reg, you can max out at 512 gigabytes using 16 32 gigs, whereas with the LRDIMMs you can use 24 64 gigs and go all the way up to 1.5 terabytes. So realistically, if you're trying to just max out on the overall scalability side, LRDIMMs are better off for you just because you can get triple the capacity. Okay, and people say, well, why can I only use 16 on the ECC register side and I can use 24 on the load reduce side? Well, that's what's known as the rank rule, and we're going to discuss that a little bit more when we get inside and actually configure the system, and I can show you a little bit more about the channels. But before we do, I'm going to grab my ESD gear because you really never want to be inside your machine without some sort of protection. So I'm going to grab my ESD gear and be right back. Thank you. All right, now that we have our ESD gear on, we're safe to open the machine and prevent it from electrostatic discharge. Before we open it up, one of the things I wanted to note, if you are using this at home, there are some legs that stick out, two on the front, two on the back, that'll help use when you're using this at home as a workstation or as a desktop, because you can help just the overall stability because it is pretty top heavy. But you can also put this in a rack if you want. That's the cool thing about this machine is it can be racked or be used at home, which is great when you just need to throw this into an office space. You don't really have a rack and you don't really have a server. These type of towers are really perfect for that type of environment. So, all right, latch is set to unlock. Pop it open, pretty much like any machine you've really ever been in before. All right, now that we're in, you will notice that there is an air baffle on top. On the air baffle, some people wonder what this sensor is, this switch is right here. This is for intrusion detection. Just to let you know, if let's say your remote, if somehow the top has been open and someone is inside your machine, which is a pretty cool little feature. This is the actual air baffle right here. And I'll note, you might not be able to see it too well on the camera, but one of the cool things I like about this air baffle is it actually tells you this is CPU 1 under here, and this is CPU 2 under here. And down here, it even has the slots labeled labeled. So A1, A2, A3, A4, and then back here the B1, B2, back on the outside B3, B4. So it's all labeled right here, and it's labeled on the motherboard. So Dell has done a good job here of just trying to make it very user-friendly and easy for you. So if you're at home and you're wanting to upgrade your RAM and you're wondering, hey, can I actually do this? I don't know, this looks kind of difficult. Honestly, it's really not. It's very simple, and it's something that I tell people that really you don't have to be a computer technician to do this. So if you're at home, you can use a video like this, and it'll be pretty easy to do. So just know that going into it. If you are a technician, hey, this will be a breeze and walk through the park. So okay, so now to get into it, we're gonna need to remove the air baffle. First thing that I like to do, because it does kind of get close over here, is I actually like to remove this piece. And you don't have to do it, but it's just what I personally like to do. So you're just gonna, there's a clip right here, just gonna push them together, and you're gonna lift it up and take it out. And then when you come back over here, you'll notice there's another push-in pin right here that you're gonna push, and you're just gonna lift straight up. And the reason I say that's why I like to move this piece is because I just feel like it hits it a lot. So you're just gonna lift it straight up. And you'll notice when you do lift it, this thing is actually pretty heavy because you have back here the fans actually plug directly into the motherboard, and there's the connectors right here. And you'll notice there are these two really tall heat sinks, which is one of the reasons I just try to tell everyone to lift straight up so you're not accidentally bumping into anything or accidentally hitting your controllers back here. So, all right, now that we're inside, as we discussed, this is CPU 1, and CPU 1 controls the 12 DIMM slots right here, and this is CPU 2, and CPU 2 controls the 12 DIMM slots back here. If you only are running with one CPU, you cannot use any of the memory modules that are associated with the CPU2, which is all the B slots. So just something to note that if you're at home and you want to use all the slots, you need to make sure you do have two CPUs. All right, so now that we're in it, this is where we're going to get into the rank rule and all the other stuff, which can be a little bit difficult. So hopefully everyone follows me here as I go through this. So as we discussed, CPU 1 controls 12 DIMM slots. Within the 12 DIMM slots, there are 4 memory channels. Each memory channel has 3 DIMM slots. What is important about this is that the rank rule states that you can only have 8 ranks per memory channel. And why this is important is because when you get up to the higher DIMM modules, such as a 32 gig ECC registered module or a 32 gig load reduced module, those modules are quad rank. So we just told you you can only use 8 ranks per channel. So you do some quick math, and 3 times 4 is 12. So you've gone over the 8 rank limitation, which is why when you're using ECC registered memory, you can only use 16 DIMM slots when you're using quad rank memory. Now, if you're putting in, like 4 gigs and 8 gigs and 16 gigs, the bulk of those are dual rank. You can just completely max it out. You're not going to run into any issues. It's when you get to quad rank modules such as 32 gigs, because every ECC registered module for DDR3 is quad rank. Now, with load reduced modules, this is actually a better technology, and it makes the modules appear as if they're dual rank. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So when you put them in, you can load them all the channels, even though they are quad rank, and it won't show as it being 12 ranks, it'll show as it being 6 ranks. So it basically acts as almost the same when you're putting in the lower end modules like a 4 gig, 8 gig, or 16 gigs, which are dual rank. You can put in 24 of them and not have to worry about running into the rank rule. So hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, just drop some comments and we can help to clarify, but really it all just comes down to the ranks, and you can't have more than 8 per channel. Okay, so now let's discuss a little bit more about the channels. So if you were installing this, and a lot of people might be watching this saying, hey, I'm not maxing it out, I just need to know how to install it if I'm only putting in a minimum amount of modules. So what I always say is you want to have an even balance across all of your channels. So we sell our modules in sets of 4 and 8, and why is because there's 4 channels per CPU, which means there's 8 channels when you're using 2 CPUs. So I like to have all the channels even. So we would sell, like, say 8 16 gigs or something like that is what we'd recommend, or 8 gigs, because then you're using the first slot in every channel. It's a perfect balance across all the channels. Okay, if not, then I would recommend using 16, and again, you're using all the whites and the blacks in that case, and you're using the first and the second slot, and you'd be leaving the green slot open. So we'll go through that a little bit more when we actually install them. So right here, you'll notice this is A1, the white slot, which is the start of the channel, A2, which is the start of the second channel, and you come back over here, and this is A3, and this is A4. So if you're putting in 4 modules in the first CPU, then you'd want to put them in all the white slots, okay? So I keep going back to the start of the channel, making sure your channels are all balanced, but again, it's really simple, and don't be overly concerned. Really, it's just put them in the whites, then put them in the blacks, then put them in the greens. Make sure they're all even. It's pretty simple, really. But so all right, so now we're going to show you a few more helpful tips for when you go to install these. So these are some pretty awesome 64 gig LR DIMMs that we have in here that we're going to use to max this out and actually put 1.5 terabytes in it. But I wanted to note before we get going, right here, you'll notice this notch right here. This is known as a key. This key is very important because it's not perfectly centered. So when you go to put the module in, you'll notice that you have to have it lined up properly, or you could do one of two things. You can damage the leads itself, or you can damage the DIMM slot, which means you might have to potentially replace the motherboard, neither which one would be a situation that you run into. So just a simple user error, just make sure you line it up properly. And really what happens most often is when you get going and you're in a good groove, and then you go to the other side, it actually flip-flops, and same over here, it'll flip-flop. So you'll be going in a good groove, and you got to put it on, and you realize, oh man, I need to flip it around. Again, a real common user error that we just like to point out just to be safe on. The other thing I like to tell people in advance that I like to do just for safety's sake, I open all my tabs, okay? Nothing, and again, it's not like this is stuff you have to do. These are just things that we do because what our goal is mainly to protect the system and to protect the parts, right? We don't want to damage anything. We don't want to waste any money and have to buy new parts because we damaged them installing them. So we just do some simple things to just make it a little bit more user-friendly. So when we are installing them, we don't, like I said, have the tabs fighting us or anything, just a real simple install. So, okay, so we're gonna start right here in A1 because this is the first slot in the first channel, okay? So if you were installing at home, this would, and you weren't maxing it out again, you'd want to start right here, all right? Now, one of the things I also like to point out, you will notice the module looks like it's inserted. You know, I'm not holding it, it's in the slot, but it's technically not fully inserted. And I always like to point this out because the #1 user error that we see is someone thinks that they have a bad DIMM because they haven't fully inserted it properly, okay? So what you're going to want to do is hear these 2 clicks. Okay, now you know the module is fully in, and you'll even notice that the tabs are pushed in compared to these other tabs. If you ever have a tab that's jetted out, you'll know that that module is not fully inserted, and you just need to make sure you push it fully down, okay? Now, even though I'm going to max this out, I'm going to continue on because I know a lot of people want to watch this video who aren't maxing it out. So again, we're following the start of each channel, okay? So we're putting them into the whites, all right? Now we're going to come over here to A3 because we filled up A1 and A2. And again, actually, I was just about to do it. You have to flip it over to make sure that you have it inserted the proper way because I got in a good groove, just like I told y'all not to do. And you just got to be real careful, okay? All right, so that's A1, A2, A3. And now we're going to do A4. So even though I'm going to max this out in a minute, this is what you would do if you were just, say, only putting in 4, let's say you only had 1 CPU and you only want to put in 4 modules, this would be the best performance. This would be the way to do it. Same thing if you only had, let's say, 1 CPU and you wanted to put in 8, now we'd put them in all the black slots, leaving the greens empty, okay? So I don't want to waste y'all's time as I load 24, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward and we're going to fill these bad boys up and we'll be right back. All right, now we have completely maxed it out and put in 1.5 terabytes into the T620. Now this thing is going to be a hoss of a workstation, to say the least. You know, we're going to put it back together here in a second, but I wanted to say, if you are at home and you are looking to do this upgrade, honestly, it'll be very easy. If you're not a true technician or you're a newer technician, this is a very simple upgrade. If you need any help, like I said, feel free to email us or contact us. We can help walk you through it. And if you're looking to do any upgrades and you're wanting to buy the modules, we'd sure love the opportunity to quote you. So do us a favor and email us at sales@cloudninjas.com. That's sales@cloudninjas.com. We have really everything under the sun for this machine, from the low-end 4 gigs all the way up to the 64 gig modules. So we'd love, like I said, the opportunity to work with you and help you make your machine faster. So let's put it back together. So you're going to want to put the air baffle in, and as we discussed, you have these connectors up here as well, and this one being for the intrusion detection, as we just talked. So what you're going to want to do is just make sure that you put this in straight down, line everything up properly. Okay. All right, perfect, and you'll hear that little click in the back, and you know you got it in properly. All right, now we're gonna put this back in, and this is just a couple of holes that you're gonna line up and then push it down, and you'll hear again the click, right? And that's it. You put the top back on and you call it a day. Thanks for stopping by, and hey, if you made it this far, do us a favor, click that like, smash that subscribe. Take care and have a good day.